What is going on, everyone, and welcome to Kart 6T3. My name is Ben. Thank you very much for stopping by. Does anybody have any idea why I do this every time? Welcome to Kart. I don't know why I do that. I notice it. I watch these videos. I edit these videos before I put them out to you guys, and I have no idea why I do half the crap I do. If you didn't mind hitting a like on the video, that would be great. Possibly subscribe to the channel. That would be even better if you are new here, or both, or do all the things, all those things. Do you like my background here? Now, I don't know that I'll keep this up. I mean, I earned it, but it also, I am not part of the look at me generation. Okay, I do these videos, and I understand I'm goofy. I get on camera, I talk about all these kart stuffs and fixing stuff and tires and that, but I'm not like a, every aspect of my life, hey, look at me, look at what I've done, look at what I've achieved type of person. I'm proud of what I've achieved. I'm proud of what I've done, but also I don't like the focus to be about me. Is that kind of, am I hitting home? Anyway, I won this weekend down to Blairsville, Pennsylvania for a quarter-point race in UAS points, and Mark Bergfeldt was kind enough to give me my winnings, a plaque that he has done up all year. Third place in national ranking, third in the nation. Not too shabby points-wise. Does it mean I'm the third fastest guy? Probably not. But from a point standpoint, I did pretty good. Two multi-time champs beat me last year. Anyway, I thought I'd stick that up there. Maybe they'll stay, maybe it won't. It'll be a bit weird without the wall tires, even though there's tires behind it. As you can see, I hung it from a wire so I can move it so I can get to my tires. I didn't fasten it there. So all right, you don't care. All right. So race Saturday. I have to race again this Friday. Another quarter-point race in Owego, New York. Champion Speedway in Owego, New York. Anyway, I was going through my clutch, and I think I was working on my clutch, just cleaning out the bearings and looking, making sure that my gaps were, looking okay, and I'm going to check them over, make sure they look like they're fair enough, but I should get a feeler gauge in there and really make sure that everything is kosher. And I think from this weekend, I saw that Martin built clutches like, my post about me winning, and it reminded me of an idea for a video that I have in here, and that is clutch services versus DIY, do it yourself. Which is better? Is there, is our clutch services a scam or anything like that? And first off, no. But we'll get into the types of things that you can look for and against on both things. Okay, first, we are going to talk about do it yourself. Obviously, this is the cheapest version of maintenance on a clutch. It's the cheapest version of doing anything to your kart yourself because you do not have to pay yourself labor. Now, with my experience, first and foremost, I DIY my own clutches. There's some pros and cons to that, but with the amount of horsepower I'm running, I don't want to say clutching is not important, but it's less important when you don't have the horsepower to spare. So if my engagement is off just a tick here or a tick there, or maybe doesn't hit exactly as hard as I need it to, I got 60, 70 horsepower or whatever it is that these Bamas make at my disposal. So it, for an instant, maybe it doesn't hit quite the way I'd want it to, but then the horsepower grabs a hold and it just yanks you down the straightaway and you forget all about that type of stuff. Or off a restart, that's probably the biggest thing off your start, off your restarts, making sure your clutch engagement is, pretty close. But then again, with the amount of horsepower that I deal with, something has to be pretty amiss for it to go wrong. So when I'm going in and I'm just replacing discs, I'm buying, typically I buy aftermarket discs. Matter of fact, I think some of the best discs, if you're going to DIY your own clutches, if you're going to replace a clutch disc, Karting has some aftermarket. They're reasonably priced compared to, say, a Bully. You know, I love Buller stuff. I run a Buller engine, but his discs are a bit more on the expensive side. Lakatos Racing has some really good aftermarket discs. They behave really well in my opinion, so you might want to look into that. Also, Gator clutches, they sell those too if you're looking for a more cost-effective type of clutch. Now, this goes with, you know, as I've said a ton of times, I've been racing for 20 years. I have a lot of experience with this stuff. I know what I'm looking for. I know what I'm looking for air gap. I know what it, whether or not to replace some floaters or not, if they've, you know, the color of them, what I'm looking at, if I got a clutch too hot, what needs to be replaced, spring heights, replacing the springs or anything like that, going through the levers, making sure that everything works correctly. I have quite a bit of experience, especially being an open guy, because we have to check our clutches after every single race just to make sure they're as much as I said before, that they're less temperamental for starts and restarts and all that stuff. Well, you can't let them get hot. You can't, with that amount of horsepower, they need to work every single time. So you need to check the bearings. You need to go through, you have to make sure everything is kosher and lined up appropriately. But that's just the thing. If you're comfortable enough, if you're mechanically inclined enough, go ahead and do your own clutches. You can save yourself a couple bucks, but buyer beware that things could go wrong. And if you don't have enough experience, if you haven't been through this process enough, it might be kind of hard for you to diagnose an issue, fix the issue, what have you, rather than just buying a brand new clutch. Okay, now let's talk about clutch services. Martinbelt, just for, no particular reason. There are a bunch of clutch services out there, and there are, I don't want to go ahead and name off a whole bunch of names and forget somebody. I see them all the time. Like I said, I'm a DIY guy. I don't actually use them. I think I've had one guy do my clutch one time. But what I wanted, even though that's the case of me doing my own, when it comes to the smaller engines, when it comes to you needing every bit of horsepower you can get, you need your takeoffs to be proper. If you are lifting, you need that clutch to come in exactly every single time. I do suggest that maybe, just maybe, you consider some professional clutch maintenance. I'm going to use, I picked up a couple pictures from Martinbelt just because they currently were on my mind, so I took some pictures of them. So when you send them their clutch, they are going to know all the things that I know. They're going to know the proper, spring diameter, what color spring it should be, at what height, what engine class you're running. You can give them information, and they're going to build your clutch pressure plate and all that accordingly. And most importantly, that I think, is they are going to have the ability to smooth, flatten, straighten, and make sure that each disc floater has a nice crosshatch on it. So with brand new discs or used discs or anything like that, when you have a nice crosshatch on your floaters and your surface disc, your pressure plate and the hub plate, you're going to have max grip. When the centrifugal force, when it spins up and it slams everything together, that's going to have max grip. And if it's set properly, which a clutch service is going to do, you're going to get the best jump possible out of the corner. You're going to get the best jump off a restart or a regular start and all these things. And it's a great idea to have things surfaced so they are perfectly flat. Now, especially with Bully, you're going to want to maintain your clutch gap, your clutch gap in between your discs and floaters, no more than, I think it's 55 thousandths. So the range is 30 thousandths to 55 thousandths. You're going to want to get a set of feeler gauges for that and push in between to make sure that's right. And this may be something you can DIY after you go ahead and have your clutch serviced. But I think that clutch services, although be a little on the expensive side, totally worth it if you're looking to get all that you want out of the clutch. They're going to be able to help you with things like, hey, I'm running a fifth mile, we're running a so-and-so gear, and, you know, Maxxis tires or something, you know, maybe they would actually be familiar with that track or have serviced other people's clutches that are from that track. Know just, all right, you probably want to engage your clutch at, you know, 3,300 RPM, and, you know, it's gonna need, you know, a bolt in every other lever. They just know these things because they have done this for a long time. So far be it for me. I'm as cheap as they really come when it comes to actually doing my own stuff. I don't, you know, why have others do what I could do myself? That's my opinion on that. But in this case, when it comes to the knowledge at hand, when it comes to something as crucial as getting your power back to your rear axle, we don't race without power. And especially when you're running Predator, especially when you're running Clone, you need every bit of horsepower you can possibly get out of those things to maximize speed on track. So, you know, they often say tires are the number one thing. Well, drivetrain is, you know, very close behind it, because if you don't have a good drivetrain, motor to clutch back to your rear axle, you know, it's all worthless. If you don't have that power to get it done, the tires aren't going to make a bit of difference either. So they go hand in hand. Yes, tires are, you know, more important to a degree, saying that everything in your drive line is perfectly set up. And I think that clutch surfaces are a really good idea, especially for beginners. And especially for people, money races and big money races, state races, all that stuff. When you send that in, you know your stuff is going to be correct, instead of, you know, if you're unfamiliar with it, taking a shot on your own. Yes, it may be cheaper, but you might not get the performance that you actually want to have. So I guess that's my thoughts on that. I just, you know, as I was working on my clutch, I was like, man, I have not done that video yet. It's been in my brain. It's been in my phone for quite a bit now, that I kind of wanted to discuss this and bring my thoughts to you if you were on the fence about whether or not to use a clutch service or not. Like I said, there's a ton of them out there. Martinbill's just the one that popped in my head because it's, you know, it run through my feed, and like I said, I happened to see that they liked my post. I'm like, hey man, but all right. I'll mention you in my video because you just happen to be there. So I really appreciate every single one of you coming by. As always, thank you very much, and we'll catch you in the next video. All right, later. I always leave my water over there. Yep. You know, what are they called? Because I'm drawing a blank.